In our last video, we set in the foundation. You can see it down here. The footings for the columns, for the concrete columns, and of course the steel columns, the grade beams there, and footings. I'm sorry, the footings for the walls, and then the grade beams between the different columns. In this, we're going to now put in concrete beams to hold up our first floor. We could put steel in there. That wouldn't be unlikely to put a steel frame sitting on top of the concrete columns. But since we've got a concrete contractor out there already, we've decided it's more cost effective just to pour concrete. So we're going to do a concrete beams now. And to do that, we're going to go into structure. Once again, it's a simple beam. And we loaded down concrete beams earlier when we created our grain beam, and there's two default beams in there, and actually 12 inches by 24 inches, that's probably adequate. We can definitely should go into Allen and Ino and check to see if the beam size kind of matches what he would recommend, but we're going to take 12 by 24 and use that. Now let's WT this. Okay, I don't have any other views open. Since we're going to place the beams at the first floor level, I'm going to go into the structure, first floor, and we'll maximize this so we can zoom in on it. So here's the first floor. There's our grid lines. There's our walls. Okay, that works. That works. That works. And I think we're in good shape. So what we want to do now is put the beam in. So we're going to click on beam and select that beam, and then we want to set the placement plane. Okay, and so we're going to set this not at finished floor of the first level, okay, because we want it below the slab. So we're going to place it at the what would that be? Well, I guess I better bring up a section. Hold on just a second so I can see. I'm going to close this out and bring up our section here so that we can see. So we want our beams, our slab, and our labels are all messed up here, so I'm going to pull these down. So there's the top of the concrete, and there's the bottom of the slab, and that's what we want right there is the bottom of the slab. Okay, so we want those concrete beams to go right there to the bottom of the slab, right? And then right here you can see top of curb. I keep calling that top of column, but it's not top of curve. And since I really don't want to see that, I'm going to go ahead and hide it, get it out of the way. And that should work. So what we want is the beam to come right there, right to the bottom of what we put when we put the slab in. So that should work pretty well. So what we're going to do is then I'll WT out again, and we'll go over here, and I'm going to once again turn that off because it'll just get in the way, and we're ready to go. So once again, back to beams, and so we're going to set this to bottom of slab. Okay, so beams, cancel out of that, beams, bottom of slab. There we go. So we're going to put that on the bottom of the slab. We'll say OK to that. In our finished floor view there. Wait, this should have been OK. Let's cancel out of here. Let's get over here to this view and go to beams, bottom of slab. And since we're in a plan view, it wants to set beams in a plan view. It won't set them in a sectional view or an elevation view. It will set them in a 3D view though, if you wanted to put it in a 3D view. I find it easier to do it by plan. So once again, here's our beam. It's saying it's going to set it by a Z justification of the top of the beam. So the top of the beam is going to be set to this level right here. And then there's no offset, so we don't want to justify it any. And so that all looks good over there. So we can just draw a beam in if we wanted to. So we could just snap to right there and then snap to right there and put our beam in, and I'm going to lock it into place so that if these columns move, it's now locked to those columns, and if either one of them moves, the beam will move with it. The other way is to do it on grids. Okay, so if I click on grids, then I can say, well, put a beam on this grid line right here. Okay, and it went ahead and put beams on both sides of the column there. You can see them are continuously. And then I can say also put a beam here. So if we do here, I have to hold down the control key and go there if I want to save them both. And I can say finish. And now I've got beams. Let's make sure that I don't have two beams here. So there's a beam. There's one, tab. Okay, so I do have two beams there, so I'm going to delete this one. Okay, good deal. And so you can see there's modifications and justifications that I can do, different placements. I can put, reinforcements in and stuff, but I'm not going to get on into all that. So, and that would all be about how I join this too. But for, schematic design and for design development, for schematic design and concept development, we don't need that kind of detail. So let's take a look real quick at what that looks like in 3D. So we'll just go to basement foundation, view, and I'll zoom in here. And sure enough, there's our beams. And then they're in the right location. They're right up here at the top of the columns. And so when we put the slab in, boom, we're ready to go. So the next video is going to be on placing the slab.